one of the things I want to try and do if I'm this guy on the bottom, get wrist control on this guy, right? A lot of times we're talking self-defense, people don't know any better. If you're a beginner jiu-jitsu, you don't know any better than sometimes put your hands on the ground. If this is the spot that I'm in, okay, I'm looking for wrist control right away. This is going to start setting up our whole entire series from here, okay? Let's say the guy knows a little bit about jiu-jitsu, his hands are here. We talked about a couple different ways how to get this guy's hands down. I can just cup my hands here like this, pop his hands down, then take my wrist control. If his hands are here, sometimes it's easy to go underneath this guy, especially if he's really pushing and he doesn't have his elbows inside. I can get up underneath like this, bump my hips, swim his hands down to the ground. A bunch of different ways we can do this. What I'm looking for, again, is wrist control from this position. All right? So I take my wrist control. What I'm going to do is open my guard ever so slightly, and I'm going to bump my hips away so that I'm not keeping myself underneath of him. We talked about this. Again, and these are the details that I'm looking for when we do these tests for your stripes and everything. If I just sit up from here like this, you'll notice that my body is still kind of reclining backwards. It's very easy for Brian to, just push into me and flatten me back out. So when I go to sit up, again, I'm aiming my armpit for Brian's shoulder. As I sit up, my feet go to the ground, and I kind of bump my hips away ever so slightly. If Brian were to bump into me here, he's probably going to knock me back, but maybe not all the way flat down onto my back, okay? I have a little bit more straight up posture here, and I'm kind of leaning forward, all right? So once this hand comes up, I'm shooting this all the way underneath of his armpit here. Right now, we're just going to talk about hitting our kimura. So I'm going to roll my hand down to my own wrist. If you can't see my hands right now, you should move. You'll notice that I don't have a thumb grip here. I'm just reaching down, grabbing my own wrist. I'm going to fold my other thumb out so that I'm not squeezing them. My thumbs are both on the outside of my grip. Now watch, as I fall back, I'm going to try and glue Brian's elbow to my chin to keep this arm at 90 degrees. Again, I used to push at my kimura a lot, and people get in here and they start pushing. If the guy has a tight shoulder, you might get it. The problem is if he's a really loose shoulder, you can see how far I can push Brian's arm away, and he's not really tapping. So again, one of my old coaches, Rick Macauley, pin the elbow to the chin. I'm using my whole body now to turn Brian's shoulder. So I get the tap, okay? Nice, even, consistent pressure. You'll notice how I'm keeping everything tight here, locking my leg over top so that Brian can't roll out. I do see some people relock their guard here. The only problem is if I need to create an angle, I like to have my foot on the ground so I can shift myself out a little bit to get a little bit more torque again on this, okay? So again, here with my kimura, all right? One more time. Okay. So right off of this, maybe my kimura is not that great yet, right? So I go from here. Now watch. I'm going to bring my hand out and base like I might go to bump sweep. Only I'm going to use this hand to kind of base on, and I'm going to shift my hips from this hip that I'm on, my left hip, now to my right hip, and I'm going to throw this arm around his head. This way. We work my arm in guillotine. Again, I go underneath. I'm cupping the chin on this side. I glue my head to his back or my chin, right? I never want to be pulling like this. A lot of times people pull and the head pops out like that. So again, I'm clamping my elbow, pinching my chin, pinching my head. I'm going to fall back now, making sure that as I fall, I'm falling back to the hip that is the same side as his head is on. I relock my guard now. Notice I'm on my hip, not flat on my back, and I'm just rolling my hand to get my tap. Okay? One more time. So again, off of my kimura attempt or my bump sweep attempt. Watch. I base on this hand and I just shift onto my other hip as I throw my hand around. My grip comes in, pinch with my elbow. I'm just cupping his chin like this, okay? Again, I'm grinding and I'm rolling my hand like this, trying to submit him with this pointy part of my thumb. If that doesn't feel tight enough, again, Macauley, you showed me back in the day, the fawns, right? Lift your thumb up. So here and here, pinching, rolling back to my hip, locking my guard, curling my hands in, again, like this, trying to curl in and cut that head off, all right? So we have our kimura and our guillotine from there. Last but not least, come to here. Again, high up on my hand, using my back foot to base and this hand. Again, I'm bumping as high as I can to break his base down, pulling the arm over, finishing with my bump sweep, okay? Ending up in the mount. Remember, for you guys competing, 2 points for my sweep, 4 points for my mount and maintain the position here. Okay? One more time with a bump sweep. Okay? Let's just go with those 3 for right now. We're going to do about 4 minutes of each of them, and then I'll show the next 3 that we do, and then we'll do the last part of class with the next 3. All right, any questions for right now? So just from full guard, let's partner up with someone. Watch your space, okay? Remember, if you don't know each other, introduce yourself, shake hands.